In this one, a standard build for electric Sentry. There are a few things I need to talk about before even talking about the build itself, and that is mapping. I couldn't make sentries to be faster. It doesn't matter if I'm doing a 170 level map or I'm doing a 130 level map. I end up at around the same time, 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes per map. And I couldn't make it any faster than that. And it comes from that we need to spawn the sentries, and sentries take time to deal damage or to clear the map, especially the electric sentry. We have bunch of single target damage, which I'm going to show a little bit later, but the multi-target damage and the way the sentries interact, it's a little bit slow, and there is nothing much I can do about it. When we are doing any type of content, we always keep Enchanted Sentry active, and that is only possible if we have Spica's Ovation Ring. And that would be the core unique item for this build. It makes it so Enchanted Sentry is no longer a channeled skill, but it works more as an aura. As soon as we press it, we apply 3 stacks of Enchanted Sentry immediately, and that stays active all the time. With a little bit of enhanced cooldown recovery speed, we can make it so Enchanted Sentry is always active. That means, at least on this build, I was always playing with 600% amp for the sentries, and that increased my damage by quite a lot. At the moment of making this video, I was 6.8 trillion damage, which might look like a decent number, but my items and my gear in general is really bad gear. I don't really have anything that strong, and I'm gonna show you later. What I mean by this is that scaling damage on electric sentry is really easy and it doesn't require much. That's why I call this a starter build. And to start with, let's go over 2 simple concepts. The first one is max sentry summon count, which basically is how many sentries you can have active maximum. You can get this number higher, but 5 is basically soft cap. In order to get over the soft cap, we need very specific items which are really hard to get. So for simplicity, we're gonna say it's 5. It's really simple. Whenever I spawn my sentries, it's only gonna be 5 sentries active at all of the times. And we can't get it higher. Another concept is simultaneous summon count. And that one is basically how many sentries we can spawn by pressing the main skill once, the electric sentry skill once. By default, we have 3 on the electric sentry itself with the Origin Awakening. And I have another 2 on my bow. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna equip a bow that only has max sentry summon count and doesn't have simultaneous. And this is what happens. If I click it, I spawn 4 sentries, but if I click it again, I have active 5. So what it means, if your simultaneous count is really low, but your max sentry count is still 5, the only difference is going to be that you will have to press your main skill more times. In most of the cases, it's not a big deal. If you're playing super early, you don't really need to have simultaneous count 5. But getting 5 will be quite a bit of quality of life difference. And there are many ways to achieve this. You can go for the Awakenings on Sentry Expert and Enchanted Sentry, Apex Crafting on the Steel Bows, Link Runes like Multi-Sentry, or on the Zodiac Tree in the Brazier specialization. Basically, why am I showing this? Because depending on your progression, there are many ways how you can fix this, and the way I have it set up might not work from the early game for you. For the gear, I want to start with the core items, and that would be 100% Transcendent Spica's Ovation. Without this one, the build is going to be much more weak, and you want to have this. You need to have this in order to start. As I mentioned before, it makes so that Sentry Enhance applies an aura and applies all of the stacks immediately. So it makes the Enchanted Sentry super strong. And with a little bit of investment, for example, enhanced skill rune cooldown recovery speed on the helmet, it makes so the Enchanted Sentry is active all of the time. It has 100% uptime. On my other items, I'm running a bow which has Forge Apexes for simultaneous sentry count and max sentry count, and then a little bit of damage amplification for the sentries. And that's what you want to have on the items. It's sentry damage amp, any type of sentry damage amp that works on this build. In this case, I'm doing a physical sentry, so I picked up against bleeding enemies. I also have maximized sentry damage, and critical sentry damage is really strong. That's how the bow looks like. It's not a perfect bow. This is basically the cheapest bow that I ever crafted. I clicked it only a few times and I just kept it. My point with this is that you don't need to have perfect items to have high damage. That's the whole point of my gear. My gear is crafted so randomly with the minimum investment, and they still have pretty decent amount of damage. On my helmet, I'm running enhanced cooldown recovery speed. As I said before, this is basically for that Spica situation. And what I'm looking for and what I'm aiming for is actually skill rune effect. Because skill rune effect is going to affect the enhanced sentry damage amplification per stack. And because this is always active, skill rune effect effectively is a sentry damage amplification, if that makes sense. That's why I want to have as much as I can. And my all jewels are red jewels for attack enhanced skill rune effect, which is exactly the same idea. The more we have of this, the more damage we are going to do. On this pull list, I have Sentry takes damage instead, a little bit of resource cost dampening, and then I rerolled Sentry hit rate into Sentry critical damage. And you're going to see that quite a lot of times because we don't really need that much hit rate, but we do need quite a bit of critical damage, and this is a good damage increase. On the chest, Sentry skill rune levels is exceptionally good on Sentry, and I can mention also on the minion builds. Skill rune levels scales very well. On the gloves, I'm running Sentry damage jump and a little bit of maximized Sentry damage. Again, only one authority, nothing crazy. I crafted attack speed into Sentry critical damage because critical damage is just better. On the boots, attack enhanced skill rune effect and skill rune effect in general. And you're gonna see that on all of my items. On my quiver, I went for amplification against enemies affected by dot, Sentry attack speed, and I rerolled hit rate into Sentry damage amplification. Again, attack enhanced skill rune effect on the gems. On necklace, I'm running Sentry damage amplification base with pulverize effect on Sentry hit. Remember, this has to be specifically on Sentry hit, otherwise it's not going to work. I reroll cooldown recovery speed into skill rune effect. That is good. Every other affix is basically useless on these items. My items basically only has 2 or 3 good affixes that actually affect my damage. I also running Overture of Grace because I'm too lazy to craft a belt. By this time I should have a crafted belt, but no thank you, I don't really have time for that, that's why I'm running this one. It has exactly the same thing, enhanced potion effect for the juicy amount of amplification from the damage potion. Right, it says 62% Sentry damage amplification. I'm also running Lifelike Advice. I picked up this black jewel because this one is really good. I would highly suggest to get this because it's attack enhanced skill rune effect amplification, which does increase the damage by quite a lot on the marksman. Then Spica Salvation, which one I mentioned already, and on the ring I have again recrafted install speed into Sentry critical damage. I'm recrafting a lot of things into critical damage for sentries because it's really hard to get it otherwise. I was kinda stuck, and I'm stuck right now at around... Yeah, but on the Forge affix, I have maximization chance for the sentries, which is all okay. The ancient one you can ignore. I did it basically just for the points, because whenever you craft an ancient gear, you get 400 points for your offerings. I don't know how to call them otherwise. That's the only thing I did. This doesn't work for this build, it's absolutely useless. That's what I have it in here. On my soulstone, again, nothing works in here. This is just a random soulstone from a previous build. It gives me no damage whatsoever. The reason I'm focusing so much on the critical damage is because Electric Sentries right now only has 661. Which is not low, but I wouldn't say that I'm happy with it. Around 800 would be a good time to stop rolling for critical damage and picking up like damage amplification instead. For charms, I'm running Spica, Boreal, and Alyssa. Even though I did not fix my Boreal, as I don't really have a tier 10 charm. So that's how it looks. What I suggest to focus on super early is Spica. This is all about sentries, and that one is going to give you the most damage. Then going for Alyssa is also a good choice, as 140 Alyssa is 6% sentry damage amplification, and Boreal should be the last, as Boreal gives 30% sentry critical damage, which is not a lot. On the charms themselves, I'm running sentry critical rate and sentry critical damage. What is important is that Sentry critical rate is not really necessary on every single charm. 3 or 4 charms is going to be more than enough. If you don't have those, we can also go for Sentry damage and Sentry attack speed. All of those affixes work pretty well. As you can see, I don't really have any good legendary prefixes. What we are looking for is Sentry damage amplification. Nothing else actually works on the legendary prefixes. Sentry damage amp is going to be the best, maybe even Sentry critical damage if you can get it. On the Chaos Star, I don't have usable stats. The only thing I'm looking for is Alyssa, Boreal, and Speak Up Blessing. In your case, these numbers might be different. You want to use different amount of Speak Up, Boreal, and Alyssa charms. In my case, this was exactly enough to hit those breakpoints for a little bit more stats. I mean, the Sentry damage amp, on skill board, I'm running Electric Sentry, Awaken It to Origin, and be sure to roll +2 simultaneous summon count. +1 is not going to be good enough. On the Link runes, I'm running Precise Sentry for a flat Sentry critical rate. This one helps a lot, as we don't really need that much critical rate multiplier. That's why like 2 or 3 charms with critical rate is going to be more than enough to basically cap your critical against 170 level Tyots. It's Awaken It to Verity. On the Amplify Physical Projectile, Awaken It to Source. Convert to Physical, because we are doing physical damage. This is a physical build, even though we are using Electric Sentry. Chain, Awaken It to Source is really necessary. This what enables multi-target damage. If you don't have this Link rune early in the game and you can have it from many ways, we always get freebies at the start of the season. If you get a freebie for the blue selection chest, you want to pick up this Link rune. You can also buy the selection chest from the shop, from the blacksmith shop, or you can get sometimes from the Zodiac Pass. Basically, there is many ways to get those selection boxes to pick up this specific Link rune. I'm also running Improved Technique, and Improved Technique is going to be the main reason why we are focusing on Dexterity, because it gives 2% Sentry damage amplification per 70 Dexterity, and as you're going to see, I have a lot of Dexterity on this build. And Mana Storm is just for the strike damage amplification, because it's a Link rune, and it's not like a gear affix, it works. I can't get strike damage amplification, for example, on my gear. But when you link it to your skill rune, this type of damage jump works. After that, I'm running Marksman, which is an attack enhance, and this works because of the Zodiac 3 choices. I'm gonna show that later. I have decreased duration on it, enhance effects, increased duration, and time acceleration. It's also linked to totem activation, and for the totem, I'm running Weaken Totem with Area Totem and Enchanted Totem. For the defense, I'm running Bulwark or Protection, but this one should be switched later into something like Tenacious Regeneration. As movement ability, I'm only running Sprint with Disarm and Increased Duration. I have Trick Shot in here, but I'm not really using. As you can see from my action bars, I only have Sprint on my spacebar. I'm also running Buff Activation upon using Movement skill, and that is on Shadow of Terror. Shadow of Terror is a lot of damage because it's armor dampening against enemies hit by Shout. This one works better on the training dummy, but on the maps, you can also have a little bit of value out of this. On Shadow of Terror, it's Awaken It to Source. It has Hushed Shout, Lingering Shout, Predator's Roar, and Enhance effect linked onto it. I'm also running Shadow of Justice, is to remove the hard crowd control, which is basically stuns. This one is Awaken It to Verity. It has buff activation upon crowd control, so it would work automatically. It's linked to Hushed Shout and Lingering Shout. It also has increased duration. You have to be sure to have Shadow of Justice, Weaken Totem, and Shadow of Terror on the trigger slots. You can also have them on your item slots, but it has to be on your action bar. Otherwise, it's not going to work. I'm also running Seal of Striking, Awaken It to Origin, so it becomes an aura, and when it is an aura, it affects also the sentries, so we get strike damage amplification, which works. As I mentioned before, if it's a skill rune, it does affect the sentries, even though it doesn't say that it's a sentry strike damage amp. On Enchanted Sentry, I'm running Origin Awakening, which is a defensive awakening. If you want offensive awakening, you want to go for the source. However, you're going to start taking so much more damage, so be careful. On Sentry Expert, be sure that you have an attack sentry and not defensive sentry active, as defensive sentry doesn't really do any good. It's Origin Awakening for max sentry summon count, and the way you can check which Sentry Expert you have active, it's really easy. You go onto the map, and as you can see, I have defensive stance, it says in here. I'm gonna press it again, it's gonna be attack stance. Basically, the Sentry Expert has to be, it needs to have a red icon. Or you can watch it as an active buff. If you don't have the link runes that I have on my electric sentry, you can also equip something like multi-shot, quick attack, projectile acceleration, multi-sentry, confidence, anything that works, anything that's going to give you damage and you can test your damage really easily on the training dummy. For Zodiacs, I'm running as maximum amount of dexterity as I can, and minimum amount of strength and intelligence in order to equip the items. On the passives, I'm focusing on any type of sentry damage. I'm gonna show you everything that I have. You can just copy paste or stop the video at any given time. I do have enhanced potion effect or just potion effect because those work for every single build. Maximize sentry damage or just critical damage for the sentries is also a good option. I'm running the enhanced skill rune effect amplification. This helps a lot with the damage and you want to have this. For specializations, I'm going to show you a little bit later. I want to go over the non-specialization nodes. Again, attack enhance, enhanced skill rune durations. Really simple stuff, but it does work very well for the sentry build. In here, summon duration and manipulate sentry critical damage is really nice. Going at the bottom, going for the piercing wedge for the sentry bleed rate in order to apply the bleed, as there is quite a few affixes on items that is sentry damage amplification against bleeding enemies, so we want to apply bleed kinda consistently to upkeep the damage. I have 1 point into HP, I have no idea where to use that point better. On wave, I'm running target shooting, and then of course earth arrow, which gives maximum amount of earth energy whenever we spawn a sentry. And last points are for holy manufacturing, potion effect and duration. For specializations, I'm going Caspel for sentry amplification and candle shadow. On regret, I'm running sentry damage amplification, overpower, aim sentry and confidence. You're not gonna have 9 points in here. You're only gonna have 7. In order to have 9, you need to finish the questline in Saluto. It's a green questline, which you're going to do on the Chaos statue, and you should be able to complete that automatically. It's not really hard to do. Whenever you complete the questline, you're gonna have 9 points on your first specialization, and 9 points onto your second one. On the third one, I'm running Brazier with Absorbing Sentry and Enhanced Skill Rune Effect. But enhanced skill effects are not applied to the caster, they apply to the sentry. And we want to run attack tactics because this is also how the sentries are doing so much damage. You don't have to go absorbing sentry, this is basically for defenses. If you want more damage, you can go for the modify, or you can go for max sentry summon count if you have some problems with that. So you can go closer in shot plus max sentry summon count. I don't really have a good example with my Lacrima. I'm only running one usable item in here, which is bow. And even this bow only gives me 18% sentry damage amplification, and it's only 18%. Critical rate and attack speed is basically unnecessary. Those I don't even need right now. I am already capping my critical rate, or I'm really close to cap. And it's really easy to get this. You can get this on the charms, and the attack speed is also not really hard to get. You can like craft an affix. What I mean by this is that this Lacrima is really not optimal for this build. I'm running some Unos Gators, some random unique boots, and a random quiver that is level 135 with only a hit rate on it. If you are looking for a good Lacrima, you want to have a Lacrima with a two-hander rear. And what you want to do on that Lacrima is to craft the bow and put it in the Lacrima. The bow craft is really strong for the sentry builds, and this is going to be more damage than having unique Lacrima, like in my case, for the two-hander bow. After that, you can go for any type of skill rune effect on your items, like having a crafted necklace, a rare necklace in your Lacrima, you can go for skill rune effect on it. You can also go for the chest for the Sentry skill rune levels, which is really strong for the Sentry builds. I didn't mention, but Sentry skill rune levels are strong because it increases the Sentry level. And the higher the Sentry level, basically, the more damage your sentries are going to do, because the difference between you and the level of the map is much lower. That's why even something like chest is going to be a strong option. The skill rune effect, even the boots, crafted boots, are going to be strong. My point is, unique Lacrima is not really an answer for more damage. Unique Lacrima is only good because you don't need to craft. That means it's gonna save your time. But if you are looking to min-max your damage, you kinda want a crafted one, like a two-handed bow, which is going to give you quite a lot of damage. This is not a good example, is my point. I just couldn't get anything better. For relics, you want to start with Sabda, as Sabda has a Sentry skill rune level and a little bit of Sentry damage. After that one, you can go for the Boreal, pick up Enhanced HP and Curse of Power. Curse of Power doesn't really work that well, but we don't have a better choices. Third one can be Enhanced Dexterity in order to hit those higher numbers for the dex. And the last one is Miracity for the Enhanced Potion effect. On the Boreal and the Curse of Power, you can go for Enhanced Range and Cooldown Recovery Speed or Debuff Skill Rune effect. All of those three link runes gonna work really good. I'm not running Skill Rune Cooldown Recovery Speed because I have it on my Soul Gem, so I don't need it as a link rune. For the character traits, we want to go for the Alyssa Blessing, plus 40 movement speed, and of course Essence drop chance. Also can go for item drop rarity. I just like Essence a little bit more, and for sure plus 2 Sentry skill rune levels, which is going to be a good amount of damage. For the offerings, we want to focus on the Sabda. This is a lot of damage, 35% to deal double maximized and 15% to deal triple maximized. Sabda is the best one to go for. After that, you can pick up a little bit of Alyssa and like at least one Miracity for that mana potion effect, which is going to help you quite a lot, as this build is kinda mana hungry. For the enchant mastery, we are aiming for the Sentry stuff, so this is what I'm running. Complete support, cooperation, and complete support 3. On armor, I'm running strong body, solar echo, and recovery resilience. On accessory, brilliant life, strengthened center, and improved constitution. I don't know if it matters what I have on the alchemy, but this is what I have. I don't even know what I have in here. If you have some mana problems, you can go for the mana potion effect and for the mana potion recovery speed. That should solve your mana issues. On rune mastery levels, I never pick up damage. I always start with the defense. I like to pick up block expertise as soon as I can. After that, I start to go for movement speed multiplier, and movement speed amplification. Then enhanced skill rune, cooldown recovery speed, duration and effect. Also potion, cooldown recovery, effect and duration. After those, I kinda try to go for the Sentry stuff, but the problem with the Sentries, it's not really that much damage and it requires quite a few points. But this is what I have. I accidentally misclicked my Sentry damage. This was only supposed to be 25, so I have 50, but 50% Sentry damage is like 0 damage, like literally. We have so much Sentry damage multiplier, it doesn't even matter. But if you're looking for more, you want to pick up amplification. There is amplification in here, and there's also amplification depending on the statuses that we apply, right? Is this the one? Amplification against enemies under fire. So we want kinda under physical status, and that one will give you a little bit of amp. Charm upgrade slots are basically exactly the same for every single build. So I'm not gonna talk a lot about it, I just have the most default stuff that you can have. The only difference is that I also picked up a Sentry stuff. And the Sentry is specifically for the Sentry build, right? But everything else, like legendary above 9 prefixes, they work on every single build. And how you apply those to your charm setup will highly depend on what charms you have. And what I mean by that, I'm gonna show you one example. For example, this one, right? I have a legendary charm. It increases prefix and suffix options, but reduces the legendary prefix option. And I have it on this specific charm. Why do I have it on this charm? Because the legendary prefix is Sentry Elemental Penetration. I don't do any elemental. my damage is physical damage, so this legendary prefix is absolutely useless for me. That's why I am decreasing that legendary prefix. By default it's 5, but I'm decreasing it to 2. But that's why I get more prefix and suffix. So my sentry damage, instead of 132, right now is 208. And that's the idea. Basically, you apply specific charm upgrade slots that works on a specific charm that gives you the most. Another thing is, my blessing effect on the Chaos Star is maximum. It's 140%. That's why the values of the Chaos Star that I get on the blessing is so high. It's supposed to be 58, but because it's max level, right now it gives me 139 on the Alyssa blessing. And this will be it for this one. GG's by bias, and see you in the next one.